Hey guys, today I kick off a new series aimed at highlighting the best value in mechanical watches. And ever since the start of the edcgunner's channel, my goal was, since day one, has not been to discuss and show you expensive watches. I just wanted to show you watches that are genuinely worth the prices for which they sell. And one of my first videos deals with that topic, and throughout the channel, if you are if you are a long-time viewer, you know that there's oftentimes I feel it is worth spending a little more to get a finally finished movement from a high-end reputable brand, but it doesn't always have to be this way. And in this video, I will run you through some important vintage Seiko chronographs of the 70s and why they're important and what to look for when buying them. So when you think of Japanese watches, you think of Seiko. And Seiko is one of the largest watch companies in the world, with a history dating back to the 1881, and they have a huge production of watches and a very diverse range of products. But when you look at the Seiko in a general population, or the people who are not watch guys, Seiko is usually perceived to be an inexpensive but reliable brand, and of course not in the same way as the Swiss counterparts. But us, we watch nerds, we know better. You just say that to some watch fan and they will cite you Grand Seiko, Spring Drive, and lots of other things that come from the Japanese manufacturers. And but you will also hear, and lots of it's gonna come from on my channel, is that Seiko watches offer some of the best bang per buck around. Value for money, and the bang per buck side of things that interests me. I'm interested in the value that is offered by this classic vintage chronographs from the 70s, and Seiko watches of this era have developed something of a cult following in the watch world, and for a good reason. In the 70s, classic chronographs, and generally that was a golden period for Seiko. The modern approach challenged the tradition of Swiss watchmaking. Of course, they introduced the quartz technology. It was their first, by the way, and they almost diminished the entire Swiss watch industry. And the story of Seiko chronograph begins somewhere in 1969. That year in watchmaking was very big, and that year sees the development of 3 automatic chronographs. The Caliber 11 movement by Heuer, of course the El Primero that was designed by Zenith and Movado, and also Seiko, that's right. Seiko 613 movement and its successor 6138 are nonetheless historically significant, and of course hell of a lot more cheaper and obtainable than the other two I mentioned. So you can pick up serviceable example in nice condition for around 200 to 500 US dollars. And increasing in popularity, they are going more higher towards 1000, but at the end of the day, that's ridiculously cheap for an automatic column wheel chronograph. It's a cheap vintage watch, and these were Swiss made. They would measure in thousands. So here on the table, I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of some of the more significant references from the 2 major movements, 6139 and 6138, and some of the watches I managed to gather here on the table to show you guys. So the first one I have here is the Colonel William Pogue Seiko, and this is a 6139, and 6139 is a first Seiko's automatic chronograph movement. It's a single register chronograph. It has a 30-minute counter and has no continuous seconds. It has no second hand, and also has a quick set dated display, and it was produced somewhere from 1969 to 1979, and these watches come in a range of dial colors, case styles, and they have cool names and whatnot, like speed timer. However, in the ranks of 6139 devotees, one model is more famous than all the rest, and this is this one here. This is a 6139-6002, and it's nicknamed Pogue. And the Pogue comes, you know the story, I told you this one, but just for the purposes of the video, this watch is named Pogue after Colonel William Pogue, and he was an astronaut, and he was also a pilot, but he was a member of the Skylab 4 mission 1973, and on his mission he wore the distinctive yellow dial 6139, this one here, of course not this one, but this one, along with his Omega Speedmaster moonwatch. And he wore it without NASA's authorization, and but yeah, I haven't been wearing this one, so it kind of stopped, but had a little power reserve. But he wore this watch without NASA's approval because they were issued Speedmasters to time the engine burns, and but he purchased his watch for himself and worn during the training, and before he was issued Omega, he kind of got used to this watch, and he trusted the capabilities of a Japanese watch, and not just because it's a Japanese watch, but he trusted it because he got used to it. And sometime in the era of internet and stuff, some watch nerds noticed on the photos that he was wearing some yellow watch on his photos, and they asked him, they sent him a letter, and he responded, and after that this watch just went crazy, and this watch with this distinctive yellow dial chronograph, this one is recognized as the first automatic chronograph in space. And of course after that the prices went up, and these watches went crazy. In 2008, I think the Colonel Pogue sold his for around $6,000 at some auction or whatnot. But it's just a great watch, and some nice clean examples can be found, like this one. They are just shy below $1,000 mark, but some other examples are usually around $500 US or euros, whatever you like it. And I think that's a sweet spot if you are able to find that one for that price. I think it represents a great value in mechanical watches. So now here I have two Seiko chronographs. This one 6139 with a single register, and it's a first automatic chronograph. And this one here, this is nicknamed Seiko Panda because of the dial combination, but this is its successor, and this is a 613 movement, and this is a more popular and more versatile Seiko chronograph, and it's been released in somewhere in the 70s, and the most obvious difference between two is the 6138 is a two-register chronograph, and has an added 12-hour register. And like many vintage Seikos, particular models, styles develop code following. They earn the nicknames, and example, this one's called Panda, this one's Pogue. There's a UFO, and there's also a bowhead, which I have here. I'll show you. This is a bowhead. Unfortunately, I do not have a UFO to show you, but you watch guys know about it. So this UFO looks like a flying saucer, like a alien spaceship. That's why it's called. That's why it's called like that. But one of the most unusual watches, and of course one of the coolest looking Seiko chronographs, and is the bowhead. And this is bowhead, and I think you can already see why it's called bowhead. This is one of the coolest looking Seiko chronographs, and it's just rather than having crown and pushers on the right side, like most of the traditional watches have, the movement has been rotated, so the crown and pushers are at the top of the dial and the 12 o'clock, and it kind of has that vague resemblance to the horns of a bull, and that's why it's probably called the bowhead, and it's kind of reminiscent. But other than that, whatever the reason is, I think this is one badass looking chronograph, the bowhead or not. And they do come in several flavors. I think the black dial and it's very nice, but this one is the nicer. This is a brown dial number, and these are very sought after, and the brown usually command higher prices, and these I don't know about the prices, but you can always reference eBay and whatnot for some good examples. But they are just cool watches, and 6138 are a bit thick because of the movement, but this bowhead is even more thicker because of the how it sits on the wrist, and it's a very large watch when you wear it, when you put it on your wrist. Let me just put it on and show you. It just wears very largely, and it sits on the wrist here very nicely. It's very comfortable, but this is a very quirky watch, and I don't know as it really practical for everyday watch, but from a collector standpoint, these watches offer high value. I will give you a bit more details with these watches, but I just want to give you, let me just show you this one here. This is a 6139, and this one has unusual quirky dial. This one's very nice. Has that quirky dial. I don't like the K shape. I don't like the band, but it is what it is, and it's very cool. But what I like about this watch is the dial, and if it was in some of the more normal K shape, this would be one of my grail watches. But this watch is really beautiful, and no matter what. So yeah, to wrap this up, as with all vintage watches, just wanna, people are usually asking me about how to buy them, where to get them, or whatnot. Let me just show you a little. Here's something for you to look at. But as with all vintage watches, you can, my advice would be, don't go after the first example you find. For example, me, for this Pogue, I passed down so many cool Pogues, and I owned some Pogue. I had a faded inner bezel here, this one which rotates. and I really didn't like it. So my advice would be to, like with all vintage watches, just don't buy the first example you find, but to buy the best example you find. And also another advice is that there are lots of Franken Seikos around, and be careful when looking for original hands, chapter rings, crowns, movement parts, bezel inserts. And if you don't know, it's always a good idea to consult someone. And you can go on forums, you can go various places online, throw some cool photos, throw some good photos, and people will help you. People will be glad to help you. So share, and also try to avoid buying over polished cases. And the ideal way you want to buy something like this. You can see the brushing lines here. This is like I was really struggling to find this one, but ideally you want to buy like this. It's don't want to buy over polished cases. And honest history as always preferred to refinish watch when it comes to collecting. If you're buying just to wear them, then maybe it's better to buy a modern Seiko or whatnot. So also try to buy a watch that runs by movement. Always try to find some movement photos, ask for movement photos, and it will be cheaper to buy a better watch than to have your watch serviced, especially if you are living in the United States, Northern Europe, in some places where the watch servicing costs are not as low and in the rest of the world. So also another problem is these watches are not waterproof. They're chronographs. They have 3 holes, and many times the seals are deteriorated, and they seem to have moisture problems. And try to avoid watches with signs of rust or mold or discoloration of the dial. You may like the discoloration of the dial, but it came from inside of the watch, so most likely the movement will be corroded as well and something. So it's best to avoid. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this video will help you and show you, steer you in the right way if you don't know, if you're just starting to collect watches and you want to collect something significant and something more cooler than a Seiko SKS, because it's for newbies. And these watches are historically significant, and they're also very cool. You can see. Just write down in the comment section which one out of these 4 would you pick and wear. Which one would you pick to have in your collection? And they have a historical value. They're column wheel chronographs, and they are not that easy to come by. So, and the best thing of all, you don't have to break the bank to get them. So thank you for watching, guys. If you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up, like, share this video, and subscribe.